Hello battlers, Russ Merrill here, and today we're going to be opening the new pair of Mega Decks in the Battle Spirits card game, Arrival of the Hero and Resurrection of the Demon Lord. And I gotta say, the package art is just absolutely epic. First, we're going to start with Resurrection of the Demon Lord featuring God-Sechs. So this is all you get inside the box: a playmat, some sleeves, the deck itself, and of course some core and a soul core. The playmat is really cool, featuring a new artwork of God-Sechs stylized in black and gold colors. And the sleeves share the same design as well, with God-Sechs against the crescent moon. Now moving into the deck itself, we're starting off with the deck's new ace card, a Rebirth X Rare, the Heavenly Demon King God-Sechs Type Heaven, which is actually the B-side, and it rebirths over from the Heavenly Demon King God-Sechs Type Earth. First, this card is also treated as being the Heavenly Demon King God-Sechs. At all levels, it is unaffected by the opponent's spirit and magic effects. At all levels, when it attacks, discard an opposing burst, and once per turn, refresh the spirit. So some epic defense and offense all together in one. And at levels 2 and 3, it is able to perform the 6 Heaven Rebirth when your count is at 5 or less. When this spirit attacks, you may rebirth it into Type Heaven. However, as the 6 Heaven in the effect's name suggests, if you have 5 or more colors of symbols on your field, instead, you can send an opposing life to the trash before rebirthing this spirit into Type Heaven over here. At all levels, when Type Heaven is reborn or when it attacks, send 3 cores from any opposing spirit or ultimates to the trash. This effect is enhanced by 6 Heaven Rush, and while you have 5 or more colors of symbols on your field, this effect can't be prevented by any opposing effects. At levels 2 and 3, this spirit is unaffected by opposing spirit and magic effects similar to Type Earth. However, with another 6 Heaven Rush, this time if you have 6 or more colors of symbols on your field, this spirit can't be blocked. So yes, a very powerful and epic card to add to the God-Sechs repertoire, and I mean, it is always cool to see a new type or form of God-Sechs. So I'm just gonna put Type Earth and Type Heaven down over here. Now moving on, here we have a new Rebirth rare for the deck, which is pretty epic as well. God-Sechs Type Final, the side B, which rebirths from the Owari world. So those of you guys who have been following Battle Spirits will know that recently there have been a bunch of meta-defining, extremely powerful Rebirth X-Rare cards in the main booster, known as the World Nexuses, such as Red World, White World, and Blue World, and now God-Sechs is like essentially getting one of those as specific support for himself. That's how epic this card is. That's how epic this deck is. I mean, to start with, for 4 cost and 1 color each of reduction, you get 2 symbols. That is pretty insane already. First, when you summon a card with God-Sechs or 6 Heaven in its name, this Nexus's symbols are also treated as being red, purple, green, white, yellow, and blue. So essentially, in this deck, it's not even just the green and blue symbol, it can be any symbol you need in any situation. And during your attack step, all of your God-Sechs named spirits are treated at their highest levels. Don't even need to worry about your core. And of course, as a rebirth card, this card can rebirth when you are at 3 or less counts, when your spirit with 2 or more colors attacks, or when this nexus would leave the field by an opposing effect. You can place the soul core onto this nexus in order to rebirth it into Type Final, just like the other World Nexuses. Now for Type Final, it only has 1 level, level 1. When reborn, return an opposing spirit to the deck bottom, and with 6 Heaven Rush, if you have 5 or more colors of symbols on your field, destroy 5 opposing non-primal Grandwalker Nexuses. Now, I mean, nowadays no one really plays non-primal Grandwalkers anymore, so I would say that this is not the most OP effects, but if you just consider the scale, right? And imagine just a matchup where you end up fighting against an older deck or an older archetype who does use non-primal Grandwalkers. This effect is gonna wreck so much. And level 1, it possesses Return to Prime when it leaves the field due to an opposing effect. You can pay the cost in order to flip it back and deploy it as the World of Owari again. So there we go, the second epic Rebirth card in this deck. Here is a card that those of you guys who watch Burning Souls should be very familiar with, the second form of God-Sechs in the anime, God-Sechs Type Destroy, and this is a double X rare. It was originally only available as a double X rare in the boosters as well, I believe, so I never actually managed to get it because it's a pretty rare card, so very nice to just be able to get it from buying a deck just like this. And this is the third and final form of God-Sechs back in the anime, God-Sechs Type The End. Tsui no Kata. So this is another double X rare. So now moving into the lower rarity cards, I'm not gonna go into too much detail here. Here we have 6/7 Soldier, but just to note that even though this card is a common, since this is a mega deck, all the cards are essentially foil. 3 copies of Soldier, and then 6/7 Eagle. 1, 2, 6/7 Hit. A pretty nice chibi looking card. And here we have God-Sechs Type 0 in a revival form with a new effect. Pretty nice. I mean, I've always loved the design of this guy. So cool. Revival Cyborg, and the pun here is that Cy in Japanese actually means rhino, which is what it is essentially, a rhino cyborg. 2 copies of that. So these are just low-cost units whose symbols can be treated as being multiple colors. So for example, the cyborg rhino that we just saw is white, but its symbol is also treated as being red. Revival Gyuki. 2 of that, and here we have a revival magic card, Descent of the Heavenly Demon King. It's become very strong in this deck with its new effects. And here we have Demon King Blade, revival again, just giving the deck much needed new support and making it more relevant in the current meta and environment. The Wandering Armor, this is purple but also treated as being white. 3 copies, Ichiban Sphere! And of course, this card doesn't need a revival because it's already so strong. The original OG God-Sechs support card, the Trooper. Here we have a Diamond Wall, of course. I mean, if we're talking about Burning Soul, it's gotta be Diamond Wall, right? And this isn't even the revival version, it's the original. 2 copies of that. 6/7 Conjurer, pretty cool looking card. And here we have the Heavenly Demon King's weapon. So a brave for God-Sechs to use. Very cool, love the weapons over there. Like, the fact that it's like 1 blade and 1 rifle is very reminiscent of like Nobunaga, like the actual historical figure. And here of course we have our Nobunaga Grand Walker Nexus. Tenma Nobunaga, and I just love how God-Sechs is being featured in the artwork as well. The core charge requirements are Heavenly Demon King, Evil Shadow, Clever Machine, Machine Beast, and cost 3 or more. At all levels, this Nexus's symbol is also treated as red, purple, green, yellow, and blue, so all colors, all reductions. It's Grand Skill 2 at all levels, flash either attack step. Once per turn, you can send 2 cores from this Nexus to the void. For each colored symbol you have, send 1 core from an opposing spirit to the reserve. And it's Grand Field at level 2, once you have 2 cores on top of Nobunaga, the conditions of your 6/7 Rush or 6/7 Rebirth are treated as having 1 color symbol fulfilled. So that means that on top of whatever white that this Nobunaga provides, when it's at level 2, it provides a secondary color to any of your effects that involve 6/7 Rush or 6/7 Rebirth, so which means like you just have a big discount on the amount of actual symbols you need to have on the field, which is just very good for the Dex engine as a whole. But I guess 4 costs can be a bit expensive, but very nicely, it has 3 reductions, allowing you to play it for 1 cost when the situation arises after you develop your field. And of course, here we have the OG, the original Heavenly Demon King God-Sechs. This card was exclusive to the original God-Sechs deck, which I never bought back in the day, so I am very happy to finally be able to get it here. 2 copies of that. Next year we have a new X-Rare in the form of Queen Oichi. So for those of you guys who don't know, Oichi, she was actually Nobunaga's sister, so she actually plays a really awesome role lore-wise as this character in the card game, as well as a supporter for this God-Sechs deck used by Nobunaga. Wait, in fact, even in Burning Soul, Nobunaga had a sister, right? Yeah, this is essentially her as a card. Flash, during either attack step, while you control any 6-colored spirit or nexus, you can summon this card from the hand at only 2 cost, even though its main cost is 7. So, the moment you've got God-Sechs on the field, Oichi just jumps out. At all levels, when summoned and when attacks during this turn, this spirit is treated as colorless and send 2 cards from the opposing field to the reserve. Finally, at levels 2 and 3, when this spirit leaves the field due to your opponent, you can summon a 6-colored spirit from your trash at no cost. Essentially, God-Sechs returns. So, very powerful support for this deck. I just love this card so much. And our final X-Rare, God-Sechs Type Shadow. I'm actually wondering this is supposed to be like another character in Burning Soul. Like maybe the guy in the black suit that always follows like Oichi around. Because rather than being like one of the lords, one of the God-Sechs themselves, this card is actually more of like one of the servants of the deck. It possesses Heavenly Demon Kagemusha. When your spirits with the Heavenly Demon King family are targeted by an opposing effect, you can summon this card from the hand. After that, choose to either change the target of that effect to this spirit only, or change the text of that opponent's effect, such that instead of targeting your spirits, it targets their own spirits instead. And if you choose this latter option, the opponent gets to choose the necessary targets. So that is pretty insane. It basically allows you to reflect effects back to your opponents, and when that's not possible, basically making use of Type Shadow to basically divert the effect to this instead, protecting your Heavenly God Kings, your original God-Sechs. Very, very powerful defensive card. At levels 2 and 3, when this spirit attacks or blocks, send a card from any opposing spirit to the reserve, and with 6 Heaven Rush, add 3 or more color symbols. Draw 2 cards as well? Dude, this is such a strong support card. I love it. And we've just got 2 copies of that. And with that, that'll be all for this mega deck opening. Gonna crack open Arrival of the Hero now, so make sure you guys check that out.